don't believe we're going to be in a trade war with the U.S. for like the next 6 months even.
You don't think it'll last the whole year?
I don't. It was really some scary stuff that Tip Macklem had included in his press conference yesterday. Like, he didn't come out and say recession. He never said the R word.
I don't think he would.
No, because it would scare the living Jesus out of most people. And,
Yeah.
Talking about investing in Canada, if you're governor of the Bank of Canada is talking about recession, you're probably not going to park your money in our country. But I do believe that we're kind of walking that fine line.
Mm-hmm.
There was something really scary they said. It was something along the lines of like Tiff Macklem was saying that, if these tariffs continue into the long term, that it could negatively affect and bring down the standard of living in Canada.
Wow.
Welcome to the Ottawa Property Podcast with your hosts Tony McNeil and Adolfo ALVARENGA. Each week, they'll take a look at what's happening in the Ottawa real estate market and offer practical advice and insights for listeners. From market updates to success stories, they cover it all. Whether you're a first-time homebuyer, a seasoned investor, or just curious about the property landscape in Canada's capital, they've got you covered. Sit back, get comfortable, and let's get into it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Ottawa Property Podcast. My name is Tony McNeil. I am a realtor based here in Ottawa, Canada, joined always by my co-host to my left, your right, Adolfo ALVARENGA, level 2 mortgage agent with Referral Mortgages. Each week we go through what's going on in the real estate market, either it's local or provincial or federal or international, it seems these days. So talking about a little bit of everything, and then there'll be some kind of micro topics along the way too. So if you're listening on the audio platforms, give us a like, drop us a share. Drop a share? You don't drop a share.
No,
you
share the link.
Send a share. Share the link. Leave us a comment. Let us know that you're listening, where you're listening from. And if you ever have any questions, you can actually book a meeting with Adolfo or I directly in the comments below. Our
You have our Calendly links?
Yeah, they're always there.
Okay.
So if you ever want to just book an appointment and say hello, say what's up, we'd be happy to kind of chat about whatever's on your mind.
Tell us if we're doing a good thing or not.
Yeah, exactly. And that being said,
With that being said, we have
Adolfo,
a special announcement.
what's up?
May 4th. No, May 3rd.
May 3rd.
May 3rd. I need to get the dates right. May 3rd.
Good start.
We have a Ask Me Anything questionnaire, seminar, call it whatever you want to call it. We just don't want it to be a presentation as if we're presenting stuff.
So
we want it to be more casual.
We're hosting an event, a buyer event, a workshop of sorts where we're going to just put together some good coffee, some good snacks, some good people, and answer any and all questions you have about real estate, the market, where we see it going, where the opportunities are, what to avoid, mortgages, payments, all that good stuff. We're going to talk about it.
Market, how it's acting, what's going on, like how to put an offer,
whatever it is, man. Pre-approvals, whatever's on your mind, and any and all questions are good. And May 3rd, Old Ottawa East. We'll put the link to the Eventbrite tickets in the description as well below. So if you're just curious, you want to see it, it's obviously free. Coffee will be free, snacks will be free. Our wisdom and advice will also be free.
The years of knowledge.
This is it.
Years of knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that being said, we saw an interest rate announcement this week.
Yeah, we did, which didn't make much news, if I'm honest.
It seems like it was like a week ago, but it was just yesterday.
I know. Yeah, yesterday. But it's crazy though. Like, it's crazy how mentality works. Where like it was a rate hold.
So
like,
no one cares.
Everyone's like, okay.
Dude, so true.
Okay, sure. Like the funniest part is like you see your story. I don't know about you, but like at least like stories and stuff like that. Barely any that I saw.
You took the words out of my mouth. So you know that I have beef with this when not so much when mortgage brokers do it because it's your space, right? Like interest rates should be what you do. The realtors posting about interest rate cuts or increases or holds and not giving any context to it. It's not news. It's not helpful to anyone following these guys. How does it really affect you? It may affect you in a bunch of ways. It may not affect you at all. So I find it's a bit like hollow, I guess, of the post. But to your point, you're right. I didn't see any of that shit yesterday. And normally it's like rate decrease. And you from the 20 realtors I follow on Instagram, all 20 of them are posting about it. And like, if you go on my Instagram channel, I don't post any of that because it's just like, I'm not the right person to be speaking to it, to my audience. You could speak to it.
Totally.
And I'll speak through you in those situations. But for me, if clients have questions, I can obviously talk to it. But I don't want to be preaching, lower interest rates, great time to buy on Instagram, because it's like not always the case.
You don't want to say that as if you're like trying to start something in the market and get people going in terms of. I think it's a conversation starter. It is a conversation starter, but at the same time, it's knowing to explain it properly.
Yeah, but how does it affect that person, right?
Exactly.
In that price point or that neighborhood or whatever.
But even like clients who already have mortgages, who already purchased a home, or individuals who are looking to purchase a home, like it could affect them like completely different compared to it. Because like someone could be in fixed rates, and this is always the misconception, always the question we have. Rate announcement, rates drop, my rate's coming down. And I'm like, yeah, no. We had this conversation because of it. Or if they're in pre-approval, they think that they co-align to each other, right? Like rates drops, it means my rate's going to drop. No, we're going fixed if that's the case. Or yes, if you're going variable, it changes, right?
Yeah, sure.
But it's always a conversation we have every rate announcement. The funny part is it's because of the rate hold, like you didn't hear much about it.
No one cares.
It was just like,
I only saw one from one realtor.
It was no excitement, no nothing. It was like, really. Okay, sounds good. Easter weekend, okay, long weekend. Let's focus on that.
But like, that's exactly why we're talking about it now, because there is a lot to uncover there. Totally. Why did they hold it? What does the economic outlook mean? Is it positive that they held it? Is it negative that they held it? Are they being cautious because they're scared of future ramifications coming from a potential maniac south of the border? Maybe.
I personally, I think they were just being cautious, more or less. Like they've dropped it the last, like, I don't know what, since June almost.
7 consecutive cuts.
Yeah, there you go. I think they just wanted to see where things are going, just because the market's fluctuating so much.
I think that they're having difficulty predicting job creation numbers. Mm-hmm. GDP is it's definitely going to be affected by this tariff trade war, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you're going to lower these interest rates based on that, and then tariffs happen to drive inflation up, you're not helping, right?
No, of course, because then they have to go against what they
exactly. So it's like they're walking the tightest tightrope they've ever seen is what they're doing.
Because they have to go backwards at that point, and nobody wants to go backwards.
Yeah,
like unless they really have to, and I think that's why they're being a little bit more cautious.
Yeah.
The next announcement's not until June, so then we have almost a month and a half.
He's on vacation now. Tiff Macklin's probably in the Dominican somewhere. I don't have to worry about this till June. I'm good.
We're holding, peeps. We're holding. That's it. Yeah. Let's go. Everybody out.
It's spring break. No, I think you're right. I think we're both kind of like on the same page in a sense. We're both wrong, by the way, with our predictions. Womp womp.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm gonna bring it up because everyone listening is probably like, you guys were wrong.
Hey, we are. We can't. We're not perfect, Can't
crystal
hit it always
ball
on the mark.
Is broken. Yeah.
Well, your crystal ball is broken because it was right for the longest time.
Well, here's the thing, right? So you have 7 consecutive cuts. So that's almost 2 points because they're all 0.25 basis point cuts. I do think that they've got a bit of a shitstorm ahead of them. I think once we get the federal election out of the way at the end of the month, you said not till July is the next cut? June, sorry, yeah. So you got a solid month and a half until you have to worry about this stuff again. Hopefully there'll be some sort of administration on our end that can deal with these tariffs and I just don't think they can go on forever. Like I said this in our market update video a couple of weeks ago. Like I don't believe we're going to be in a trade war with the U.S. for like the next 6 months even.
You don't think it'll last the whole year?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. It was really some scary stuff that Tip Macklem had included in his press conference yesterday. Like he didn't come out and say recession. He never said the R word.
I don't think he would.
No, because it would scare the living Jesus out of most people. And talking about investing in Canada, if you're governor of the Bank of Canada is talking about recession, you're probably not going to park your money in our country. But I do believe that we're kind of walking that fine line. Mm-hmm. There was something really scary they said, and I can't quote it because I don't remember it precisely, but it was something along the lines of like Tiff Macklem was saying that if these tariffs continue into the long term, that it could negatively affect and bring down the standard of living in Canada.
Wow.
And people are going to hurt, man. Like there's Doug Ford yesterday was doing a bit of damage control with the Honda fiasco that came out this week, where Honda was saying that they're going to move a lot of their production to the U.S. Mm-hmm. So, from an American standpoint, maybe it is working to some degree where these plants are going to start moving
back to the U.S.
it's going to be probably a 5 to 10 year lag on that too, because you can't build these facilities overnight.
You can't move stuff like that so quickly.
Right? No,
it's not just an individual. Imagine an individual moving is already difficult enough.
Yeah, I mean,
the whole company.
Hypothetically, like his administration won't even be around by the time those plants even open up.
Hypothetically speaking, yeah.
Right, and that's very possible, right? Unless they, pull some kind of wizardry and are allowed to go for a third term. But yeah, for us, I don't know. Hold is. I'm still cautiously optimistic. I'm still cautiously everything. There's still opportunities for buyers and sellers, but a hold is not. I don't see it as a positive thing, honestly. I see it as like a cautious, like
it's more of a cautious.
Wait and see what's
I think they're waiting to see. Well, like you said, there's still the elections at the end of the month, so obviously they don't want to react to that too. The tariffs that are going on, how the market's reacting in terms of the stock markets. I think they're just being cautious. We're gonna see what happens come June. But the interesting part about this, and like we were just talking about this right before, but it's like the market's moving. Like,
yeah, deals are getting done.
Yeah. If the prices are
even the rentals
properties, the properties are priced correctly, and if it's the right property, like you said, if it shows well and stuff, like it's selling.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I lined up some showings yesterday for a couple of townhomes in Barrhaven, and like they're not bad. They're not like knock your socks off, but the pictures look great. I'm sure that they show just as fine in person. You kind of like when you see a Barrhaven townhome or any townhome, you're like, yeah, I got the gist from the photos. Like nothing's gonna blow me away or be out of the norm here.
It's your cookie cutter.
Yeah. But I got a notification at about 8 p.m. saying they got an offer and they were going to be reviewing it today. Did we want to bump our showing up to go see it?
Did you?
No. So it's a long story. These clients are new to the team.
Okay.
We basically like. This is 48 hours after us, like intro email, setting up showings.
Oh yeah.
Giving them the spiel.
You don't want to rush them. Goes.
Of course, right? Yeah. And that was the thing. We had a good conversation. Be like, hey guys, like I'm just telling you this that they've received an offer because that's my fiduciary duty to you. Because if say they were super interested in that and then I didn't tell them.
Yeah.
They missed an opportunity. Like it's gonna be bad on me, right?
Yeah.
But I just told them this is what's going on. And it's not me telling you to go for it. Like I'm not trying to force you into this. I just want you to know this is happening. These are the kind of the outcomes that we can see from this, and this is how I think we should proceed. And it was exactly that. I was like, let's just wait to see what happens with the offer.
Yeah.
If it works out, great for them. It'll probably be conditional on financing or inspection. We can probably still do our showing on Saturday, so you guys can like at least see it in person to have a gauge of like this is what this type of townhome sells for when the sale price is posted.
Yeah, but that would be excellent.
The learning experience,
right? You can then afterwards say, like, this is what it ended up selling for once the conditional period's over, right? So it's great, but, like, I had clients who lost on a single. I can't say their offer was that strong, if I'm honest. There was a condition there that was, like, obviously, I don't feel like anybody would take it.
Like sale of property or something?
Yeah, the sale of their current property. Like, it's hard.
Depends what it is, right? What the type of property that is.
And depending how long it's been in the market. This house that they were offering went into the market maybe Wednesday.
Yeah.
Last week or something like that. Like, it hasn't even been 7 days in the market.
When I first started real estate, sorry to just interject while you finish, but when I first started real estate in 2019, sale of property was like it was the way to do it. Everyone did sale of property. It wasn't like what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't taboo to do it. Now I haven't since the pandemic has ended and we've kind of stabilized in our market in some respects. I have not been successful on one sale of property.
But so that's interesting. Like, do you feel that it's because of how the market shifted after COVID? Like, or is it just the responsibility of not wanting as a seller to have like literally your own property locked in,
hanging in the winds with someone else's, right?
Because like then it's you're dependent of the other 100%. Of the buyer. If they agree to a purchase price, what if they overprice their property? They can keep your property
exactly.
For how long?
For anyone listening and is not sure what the hell we're talking about, a sale of property condition just means, like you may have gathered, if I'm buying ADOLFO's property from him, but I still have a property to sell in order to obtain financing to buy his, as in I can't own both properties, then he may or may not agree to the condition of me selling that property in order to buy his. Now, there are some circumstances where I'm sure that would work. Like you said, if a property has been on the market for more than maybe 40 to 60 days and they're not getting any showings, it's likely a price problem, though. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But maybe they're going to be open to that. Certainly something that comes out within a week, like as a listing agent, I would never recommend that a weekend unless I would really thought like, there was no way this house was going to sell.
I feel that their offer would have been strong enough if they would have removed that condition. But this is kind of the first time like they're seeing the actual market. They bought their current home as a from the builder, which they did great, and obviously it's obviously a learning experience. But it just kind of gathered into that subject, right? Like of that condition is such a taboo right now.
Yeah.
Still, and it's like it's just interesting to know that okay, even though there's conditions, like there are obviously some that might not get accepted or might not be shown. And on the other side, they said like, well, if you bump if you remove that condition, we'll consider it. So I'm like, okay. But then it's like the back and forth still, so it's like it's hard.
Yeah, and to put another layer on that, like anyone listening again, like removing that condition and then purchasing a property, you're rolling the dice, right?
Totally.
If your property doesn't sell and you're on the hook for both of these mortgages, the bank could say no, we didn't agree to this. You cannot financially own both of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good place to be, right?
And as a mortgage agent, like it's also hard because we're trying to work around the numbers of what their down payment would be depending on this. So it's like it's difficult, not impossible. It's difficult because we have to gauge on the best case scenario and in a worst case scenario what that would be.
Sure.
And then take the difference from that and be like, this is the down payment that you have left to purchase the new one. Which for those listening, like you don't have to close exactly on the same day for it to work out, right? You could close on the new purchase before and then close on your sale afterwards, and you just get what we call a bridge financing,
right,
which is it's a financing for the down payment.
Right? But you can only have bridge financing when you have two offers on your property.
When you have a firm offer
on both properties,
both properties, correct.
But if you don't have a sale on one,
correct,
you can't get a bridge.
Exactly. But then that's why you put the closing of at least 2 months, give or take, minimum.
Gosh, yeah, minimum.
But that just
I would
again
shoot for 90 plus on that, 90 plus days.
But then again, we go back to, is it price right? Is it location right? Is it the right home? And the last thing you want as a seller at that point, or even for myself as an agent, is putting pressure on the clients to be like, you have to sell at this exact price. And that's why it's like we have to work it in the best case scenario and in a worst case scenario. And okay, can we work with this?
Yeah.
Because if not, there's added pressure of you have to sell at this, you have to sell at this, and then if you don't, then you don't have enough, and then it's like,
and then you might be financially on the hold or on the line for the other sale. If that sale doesn't go through, and the seller has that you purchased from has to relist their property, and they sell it at a loss, like you may be forfeiting your deposit on this property.
Oh, it's a whole domino effect.
And you could be held liable for the damages if the seller has to sell at a lower price.
Yeah, it's a complete.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Yeah. I definitely don't want to do that. So it's funny enough we're talking about this, and it's not a bad topic for the episode. A bit better than what I'd come up with off camera. Clients we're helping right now.
Yeah.
We're staging their property on Saturday afternoon. They have a beautiful house. It's a stunning detached house in East Ottawa, in Orleans. There's a lot of competition.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like in the Avalon neighborhood, so
there's a lot of other
newer
places.
options. Now I do think that they'll easily have the nicest listing in the neighborhood.
Okay.
But they want to buy something obviously as well. They don't want to be homeless, and they have almost just over a year left on their current rate, so they're hoping to port some of that over to the next purchase. So they've been in contact with their broker or mortgage specialist, I think it is, at the bank, at the Green Bank. Which is fine. I just like
it's
doing
it
because it makes him laugh.
I just laugh because it's like
I know. I know how to make you laugh, man. That's it. I saw a text message because they just copied and pasted it to me. Like, this is the message from our broker, and it was like, you must have a firm sale on your property before you go out and purchase something else.
I disagree.
And that's what I said. I said I will play devil's advocate with them a little bit. And I was like, listen. I get it from their perspective. They're covering their butts on this. Like,
Totally.
they're never going to tell you something that would put them in any kind of liability for damages to you. Even in the pandemic, when people were going without conditions of financing and stuff, every mortgage broker I worked with was like, you should include a condition of financing.
Yeah.
Right?
But we have to adapt. We have to adapt to, like, you have to be able, based on your experience, know if this is something that would get approved or not.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
So when this was going on, I have this conversation with the realtors and be like, look, this is our best case scenario. This is our worst case scenario. We can work with the worst case scenario for the down payment. Is it possible for them to sell at that? Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's not like you transfer the liability or the responsibility to the other party. It's just more of like, do you think, based on your professional opinion, that, and based on the comparables in the area for this type of property, will it sell for that?
What's my bottom on this?
Exactly. If worst case, you drop it to that, would it sell? And then that's where we work together. But we have to be able to communicate in that. So, like, going back to the message from the financial advisor, like, I can understand why he's saying that, because he doesn't want to take that risk of, like, if they don't sell.
Of course. You told me I could do this.
But it's not even about you could do it. It's more of, like, educating the client to be like, hey, this is what we can do. If you don't sell, this is the consequences of it at that point. So it's up to you to make that decision. I can't tell you yes or no for that, right? Yeah. But then in terms of, like, the for the sale for them at that point, the other caveat to it is that, what if nothing pops up? If they sell first, and what if nothing pops up afterwards? Yeah. So what you're telling your clients, okay, you have to go rent or an Airbnb.
We've talked about this already.
Correct.
Because it's like, we had to. Because they say, hey, guys, if you sell, that was one of their questions. Like, we're concerned that we will find something that we like. Mm-hmm. And I said, that's a fair concern. I would also feel that way, because not what they're looking for isn't super specific, but they're going for a certain, neighborhood or style of home. They do come up fairly often, let's say, but, are they going to compete for that? Is it going to be the right place? There's a lot of variables that we can't control. They're like, I can't say, yes, for sure, there's going to be 10 houses for you to choose from in the next 4 months. I don't know that, right?
Yeah.
We've seen a couple already, and gauging on, like, what their appetite is for renovation, that type of thing. I'm fairly confident in it, but we don't know what the sale of their house is going to do either, right? They got a number that they have to hit for that, for them to feel comfortable with actually letting it go. If they were to lock into something on a purchase side of things, and then they weren't able to sell at their price, like, to your point, is the broker saying, like, okay, but you told me this price and now they need to sell down here. Like, this delta doesn't make sense for any of this anymore. And that could very well be it, right? Like, hey, you guys are locked in. You have to sell. Like, we need to start knocking some numbers down off this sale price, because we're not getting any traction at your current list price.
And interesting that you say that, because I've experienced that in the past with a situation with an agent that she sold the next door neighbor's house for, it was highest of the pandemic.
Okay.
For probably, I think it was like almost close to the 800s.
Okay.
So obviously you see that as a customer, you see that as a client. You're like, oh, my next door neighbor sold for this. It means I can get close enough. But then the market shifted. It was 2023.
Yeah, it's tough.
Things have changed. We had a bare minimum, which at the listing appointment, I recommended a realtor. And then this person came into the picture because they had sold the one beside. So obviously, but then we go back to, and I'm not saying that they were lacking experience. It was just like they were lacking not being in the same, like just being in a COVID market. Like they had just been in a COVID market. Nothing against them. They did an excellent job as much as they could in the moment. But the price that they had offered the client that they would sell it wasn't real in that moment. Right. So then because of the added pressure of you have to close on your new property, because it was a builder sale, they had to drop the price down.
Yeah.
But then the down payment didn't quite work. They had to struggle to find more money. And it was just like a whole nightmare of like, you said this, you said this, you said this, you said this. And it's like, as an agent, I'm being reserved. And I said, like, I explain this as best as I can. I'm not saying that I'm expecting you to know everything, but ask me the questions that you don't understand. It was just like, there wasn't back and forth on that. It was like, okay. And it was like quick conversation, as if like the conversation weren't either he wasn't fully paying attention when it was going on.
In one ear, out the other.
Exactly. Or it was just like wanting to hear what he wanted to hear, and then, okay, sounds good, bye. You know, like, and I'm like, not. It was still what I learned from that experience is like I need to make sure that it's well heard and it's well analyzed, well learned on their end of customers, and it's like educating the clients, right? But it's not a easy situation to be in. It's a sticky situation.
No.
So then you go back and forth of like, okay, what can we work with and what can we not work with, and then go from there. But like it's difficult to have you wanting to buy something else and then sell. It's not impossible, but you have to make sure that you're staying within the price points that's realistic to the current market.
Yes.
And I think that's key, right?
Then that's it, right? You know, it's like if I tell someone, hey, your house is worth 600,000, and in my mind I'm confident in that number, but they say, you know, well, we need to sell at 650, so let's try it there. We can try it, but you know, having the hard conversation up front to say like, this is where I think it's going to sell.
Yeah.
We can try it here, but be prepared. Like, you know, I don't want to be the bad guy when I come back and say, hey, it's not going to sell at this price and we're just accumulating days on market. We need to adjust our strategy here because you're not going to sell at this price.
Yeah. And then but then that comes up to you having also a conversation with their financial advisors or whoever they're working with in terms of the mortgage to make sure that you're also aligned.
Sure.
To, okay, can we make this work one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I feel it's key. And you don't, and mind you, I'm going to put words in your mouth. You don't typically see that when it comes to financial advisors from institutions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they are working with the client. It's not necessarily that they have to communicate. I mean, some of them do. The good ones.
Yeah. I've dealt with a good one in Scotiabank these last couple of weeks. She's been really nice to work with. But it's a family friend of theirs too, right? So maybe they're getting a bit of a different treatment than most people would. I don't know.
I would give them a benefit of the doubt. You never know.
No, I agree with you.
There are good ones.
I'm not shitting on them. No. I'm not. I'm being honest. I think. I
mean, at least you didn't say the red bank this time.
Oh, it was the red bank.
Yeah, I know. But
you knew?
Which red?
Oh, the bright one. The bright red. The Eastern Canadian one. No, I think it's, you know, it's very in a market where, like you said, things are moving, but certain things aren't moving. And if it's not priced sharply, then, you know, your sale of property is probably going to fall apart pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Especially like, you know, this couple that I'm dealing with, they're looking at not a competitive, maybe a little bit of a competitive space, depending on what neighborhood they end up choosing. Like we saw one on Wednesday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon. And, you know, by the time I got home that night, they'd already had 2 offers on the house. It had been up for less than a day.
2 offers. Wow. But then that's also, they're in a competitive neighborhood to purchase, and then they're in a competitive neighborhood to sell too, because based on what you're saying, like,
so it's
double the competition.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I mean, it depends too. This was a bit of a, not a unicorn, but it was a very, you know, it was the glebe, right? So it's like people are they're not only focused on that neighborhood. They just happen to see this house in that neighborhood that kind of piqued their interest. They are exploring kind of other options, kind of within the core, but. Anything in the glebe is going to at least bring a few people through the door to check it out. Right?
Especially for the glebe garage sale. It's coming up in a month. So
yeah, I've never been, man. I can't wait to go this year.
It's fun.
I can't remember where we were last year. We were out of town or something, so we couldn't go.
If you're able to park in a far distance, park in a far distance.
Yeah, I'd probably ride my bike over, if I'm being honest.
That'd probably be best. What was I going to say for that, though? Like, I actually saw some properties coming up soon in the glebe. I think there's one on, was it 3rd? Yeah, 3rd. Okay. I was down there yesterday. If you want to drive by, I don't know what their specifics are that your clients are looking for.
800,000 or it could be 8 million. We don't know.
Exactly. That's the thing about the glebe. It could be one of those like, oh, this is a project waiting to happen.
Yeah. What do they call a handyman special?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think they'll be fine. They'll figure it out. We'll help them through it. I'm excited for them. But you know, we talked about the sale of property, and I'm very honest, man, because I don't like getting people's hopes up, and it's just, why would we want to trial by fire type of thing? So I just said to them, like, if we're going to be in competition, your sale of property is not going to fly. I was like, if anyone else has, if everyone has one, it's a different story. But the case of that is probably pretty few and far between.
Yeah.
One thing, and it kind of gets, this would be interesting to hear your opinion on this, but let's say someone loves a house. They say, Adolfo, I gotta have this house, man. It's the only house for me. but I have to sell my property in order to buy it. My realtor told me that in order to make my sale of property condition more appealing, that I should pay more for the property.
Like over asking?
Yeah, maybe over market value.
That's tricky though, because then it's like if you need an appraisal,
that's what I'm saying. I want
you have to pay. Okay, so
Adolfo's like, this realtor sucks, man.
It's damn. Okay, can we take this offline?
Yeah.
I would say
you have to tell it right now on the mic.
I would say like it's a slippery slope because you don't know if the appraisal will come to the value of your purchase price.
And what happens, Adolfo, if our appraisal
and if it does not come to the value, you have to put the extra of it.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
So if I pay $20,000 over market value and the appraisal comes in $20K short, I have to pay that out of my pocket?
So additionally to your down payment, you have to add another 20. So what it is actually could be probably even more, because what ends up happening is the mortgage company will only give you, like, let's say if you're needing an appraisal, most likely is 20% that you're putting down payment. They'll only give you 80% of the appraised value.
Oh.
And then the difference has to come from the individual, from the client, from the purchaser, right? At that point.
Understood.
So it could easily be more than that 20 at that point. So I would personally, if I were in that shoes, I would say make the sale work with the purchase price that you're kind of market, but then if anything, drop the price on the sale of your current house.
Right.
Because that's where you have a little bit more control, right?
That's a good point. Instead
of, or the other option would be, if you're going to put over asking and 20K over, make sure there's a condition for financing, and get your broker, your bank or whatever to get that appraisal order before those conditions happen, and then make a decision based off that.
That's the answer I wanted.
That's the answer you wanted? Okay, fine. I give you two. Yeah.
No, it was good. I would go with second option.
Yeah.
There's ways around it, I guess is what we're saying.
Totally. One's a little bit more conservative and you kind of have more control. I think I lean more to that one because I'm a bit of a control freak in that, and I want to be able to dictate what goes on.
I hear you. You
know?
I think
but
I had the conversation with him yesterday to say that this is not. That was a hypothetical scenario for everyone listening. What I just pitched him.
It wasn't you. It wasn't you trying to sway the client. Hey.
No. But back to my client's scenario is what I was going to say is that I was kind of in the mindset of like, listen, guys, I know we've seen a couple that we're kind of interested in, but I think the best case of the best approach here is to get your house on market, which is going to happen next Wednesday. And then we'll know pretty quickly if we're in the ballpark on price. If we get something very quickly and you get the price you want, we'll work hard on the sale or on the purchase on the buy side to find you something. We've already flyered a couple of neighborhoods for them. We're proactive in that. We're not just sitting around waiting and hoping and praying that something comes up. But, again, first time we met, we had the conversation of like, if you do get a sale on this and we don't find you something, like you may have to think about a short-term rental. Yeah.
And it's a difficult conversation to have, but I think it's better for them to know all their scenarios of what could go. And for those of you who don't know, when Tony mentions flyers, it means that they actually go to neighborhoods and put flyers on people's houses to kind of say, I'm going to put it from my perspective, to kind of say, if you are looking or interested or have the idea of selling, please contact us, because we have a client, a buyer, who'd be willing to buy that, which is very proactive. You're not sitting in your desk looking at MLS the whole day and waiting for like a house to come up, or just have a client on an auto email for them to get a house every time something comes up into MLS. You're actually proactively looking to things that might not even be in the market.
And that's, you're right. It comes out of a place of goodwill and intention.
Good service.
Good story.
Hey, it's true. They are good stories.
They're good stories. But funny enough, so we flyered this neighborhood. We sent them out last week. There's a bit of a lag there until you get some responses. But I was at the gym yesterday morning. I had a call. When I didn't answer it, I don't answer calls at the gym because I don't want to be that guy.
The weights falling at the background.
Like techno going or whatever they listen to in the background. But so I was like, oh, I'll call it back. And I got to the office and setting up, and the same number called me. And I'm like, oh, better get this. And they said, hello, Tony speaking. Hello, this is, my name is, he didn't say his name. I was like, this is this Tony? I got your number on the flyer. And I said, oh, nice. Who am I speaking with, He told me his name and his address, and then he said, "Don't send these to my house anymore." He was very happy with me. And I, if anyone's listening and curious about these, it's a letter, right? It's a letter trying to reach out to people that are potentially thinking about buying their home. And the first line says, like, if you are in your forever home, please disregard this note.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to, force people to sell if they don't want to sell. Like, it's not what its intention is. He was kind of upset with me at first, but by the end of the conversation, he was fine. I just explained. I was like, "Sir, we didn't target your house specifically. Like, we use postal codes in order to reach more people as a service to our buyer clients that are trying to find a home in your neighborhood." I'm like, we weren't trying to solicit you in any other way. Just like if you happen to be thinking about it, then we would have loved to have a conversation. But he was good. Yeah.
I feel that your notes are way better than the ones sometimes we receive. It's like, "Oh, we buy houses for cash."
Yeah, we're not those people. Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, okay, we buy them for cash, no conditions, no nothing. Don't go through the hassle of it. Yes, but what price point will they give?
Well, exactly. And then they just end up assigning it for additional money, right? Those guys are kind of predatory and a bit.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, it's completely different. Like, I've seen your notes. They're more handwritten notes. You're more warm.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it, right? We just do it. We do it because we want to help our people find something. And like you said, we're not just sitting around waiting for something to pop up.
But at the same time, you're also helping the sellers too. Like, maybe they didn't want to go through the whole hassle of it.
Exactly.
Of staging their house, having people over come in to see the places. Like, So it's interesting.
Yeah, it was a funny call to get. Some people. He called me twice to tell me he didn't want to be called.
Hey, good on him.
So I hit a nerve, but like I said, we were fine by the end of the call. You gotta kill him with kindness.
I guess it happens too. People just don't. But it's easy to just go like, chug it in the garbage bin. But I guess
he didn't chuck it in the bin. He read it and he called me, so it's okay. It works. It works. That being said, we did a lot of sale of property, man. A lot of interest rates. I don't know what what are we gonna talk about next week?
I don't know. It depends. We every week it's completely
We'll
different.
Just wait and see. We'll have advanced polling starting today, guys. Tomorrow. So get out and vote if you haven't made a plan to do so already. I think the advanced polling stations are open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday this week, and they close for the following week. And obviously the 28th is the big day. So
look at you getting people to vote.
No, I think it's important, and I don't care who people vote for. I really, truly respect anyone's decision to vote for any party. I think it's the best part about living in a democratic society.
Okay.
But you should still exercise it. It would be more. I'd be more upset that if you didn't vote than if you voted for a party that I don't necessarily agree with.
That's fair. And I agree with that.
It's a waste, right? It's an absolute waste. So get out and vote. You're excited. First time.
Yeah, first time. It'll be fun.
I saw your voter registration card over there.
Yeah, I might vote before. I don't know. I'm debating.
We're going to do the advanced polls. I don't want to do
Or
if
I want to have the whole thing about the election day, experience the whole thing.
Our polling station's like across the street from our house.
Oh,
so we're just going to walk over.
That's perfect. Okay.
And I do it, I think this weekend while a lot of people are out of town will be the best way to do it. Maybe I'll go tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, are they open tomorrow? It's Good Friday.
I think it's Friday, Saturday. I have to check. You can check your card over
we'll
there.
Check after.
It's exactly the same.
Okay. With that,
get out and vote.
Yeah, go out and vote. We'll wrap this up.
We'll have some more. I don't know, man. Whatever's in the news, I'm sure we'll talk about it. That being said, go Sens. Get your tickets. I'm gonna go get mine right now. I have 6 minutes to log into the queue and try to buy some really expensive playoff tickets. Go Sens. Go Sens. Go.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Battle of Ontario.
Happy
Leafs
Easter. Have
suck.
a great love weekend. Have a great long weekend.
Bye,
Happy Easter.